Hello everyone and welcome to the Good Old Gamer. So quite a lot has actually happened since Monday's video. So we finally have the RTX 2060 12GB launch, I guess you could call it that. So in my opinion, this is probably the most special launch Nvidia has put out in recent memory. I can't remember anything more interesting than this, not in a good way. We'll go ahead and discuss that in this video. We also have the rest of the RTX refresh lineup. We have the release dates for all of those. AMD coming out with 6nm RDNA 2 GPUs, and Epic Games came out with a very interesting and very good look at their Unreal 5 engine. Basically, it's a nice tech demo using the Matrix, and it really shows where next generation, or I guess you could say current generation games, are expected to go in the next few years. And honestly, it's very exciting. So that's what we're going to be talking about today here in this video. Before we get into it, if you like these type of videos, make sure you smash that like button. All right, now let's get into it. Nvidia launches the RTX 2060 12GB, a perfect card for crypto miners. No, this is literally the exact opposite of what we were hoping for this particular card. So yeah, I'm not going to go through the whole article. I'm sure you guys have seen this already by this point. But basically, prices were starting at 600 euro up to 700 euro for an RTX 2060. And the main reason for that is it's a mining monster. It's actually significantly better than any other GPU in this particular range. So yeah, good job, Nvidia. You did the one thing that we didn't want you to do. So this really takes the wind out of my sails. I was very excited for this graphics card. I was hoping this was Nvidia going, all right, the 3060's being bought up by miners all over the place. Let's bring out the old TU-106. Let's give that one to gamers. Nvidia did the exact opposite. Now, what makes this launch even more special is, number one, no reviewers got sampled. So when I woke up on Tuesday, I was like, oh, 2060 12 gig reviews, they should be up. Not a single one. So at that moment, I knew something was weird. And then there is also no MSRP with this. So Nvidia just said, here's the thing, sell it for whatever you want. Hence why on day one, they're already selling for 600 to 700 euro, which in dollars would equate basically 1-to-1. That's about where 2060s are selling already anyway. So basically, these are the top tier scalp prices that you could buy 2060s on eBay for, except this is coming straight from the AIBs and retailers and all of that. So yeah, this is not a good look. This is the exact opposite of what I was hoping to see. There were some people out there that predicted that this is what Nvidia was going to do. And well, now we know. Okay, so moving on, no mainstream graphics cards for us before Christmas. Yay! All right, and that ties into this next story where we now have the launch dates for Nvidia's next refresh of graphics cards. So we now know that the RTX 3090 Ti is coming January 27th. The 3070 Ti 16GB will be coming out on January 11th. Now, it's not in this article, but the RTX 3050 will also be launching January 27th, and the RX 6500 XT will be probably a week before this. Now, I know what you're thinking, Chris, who really cares? You're not going to be able to buy these, and they're going to be priced insane. Yes, this is true, but what I want you guys to really be keeping an eye out on is Nvidia going to give these MSRPs, or are they going to do the same thing that they did with the 2060 12GB and just be like, here you go. Are they even going to sample reviewers? I'm actually pretty interested to see how this refresh lineup goes for Nvidia. Now, a lot of you guys are freaking out because there's so many SKUs. I see all the memes all over the place. Nvidia making like 50 different GPUs off of the same die. This is basically going to be the new lineup. They're going to replace the old stuff with their very low and non-existent MSRPs with these new cards, which just aren't going to have MSRPs, in my opinion, which means the prices on these are going to basically be whatever people can get away with, which is essentially what the market is doing right now. The really interesting part here is if there was something from the manufacturer saying this card should be somewhere around this price point, that can help keep prices down even just a little bit. Because if somebody's like, well, Nvidia says this 3060 is supposed to be $329 and it's like $1,400, that's too much. And like in people's minds, they'll be like, yeah, that's like 3, 4, 5 times more than I should be paying for this thing. I'll probably hold off. But if a GPU has no MSRP and it's $1,400, It just kind of is what it is. It's a very interesting psychological marketing tool here, and I'm interested to see how this all pans out. Perhaps they will have MSRPs, but maybe they're going to be more realistic. I don't know, but I honestly find it interesting. Nvidia's new approach to the situation, which is, you know what, we're just out to make money and the hell with y'all. That's basically what I'm getting from them, and I'm going to be interested to see how next month's launches pan out. But I want you guys to also keep an eye on that as well, because I find it funny at this point, to be perfectly honest with you. So we'll see how this all shakes out. And to not be left out of the refresh race, AMD coming out with RX 6000S, allegedly coming, so AMD's own super. So basically what they're planning on doing is taking their mobile GPUs, their RDNA 2 mobile GPUs, and putting them on TSMC's 6 nanometer, which is about 18% more efficient, according to the article. Now, this makes a lot of sense. Moving to 6 nanometer, it's not going to be taking up 7 nanometer supply, and not moving over the desktop chips to that line means that 7 nanometer will be console and Zen 3 CPUs and RDNA 2 desktop GPUs. They're taking some of the supply away, with Rembrandt also going to 6 nanometer. This means that they should have more supply to go around. So I think that it kind of makes sense just targeting one market where that extra efficiency makes the most sense, which would be in laptop. But as I've said before, finding an AMD laptop with an AMD graphics card is actually extremely difficult. I did a lot of searching for laptops around the Black Friday sales and even a little bit before that for my own personal use case. And AMD CPUs are readily available. You can find almost any laptop lineup will have a Zen 3 option. But finding one with an RDNA 2 graphics card, for me, that was almost next to impossible. There were a few out there, but we're talking like 20 to 1, 30 to 1 in terms of options available to you. So it's rather staggering. So maybe AMD just doesn't have enough supply, and that's the reason why there aren't any. So moving to 6 nanometer might help with that, which is very strange because RDNA 2 is way more efficient than Ampere performance per watt, just is, because it's on a more advanced node. And when you get to those lower power targets, RDNA 2 really shines. That's why things like the RX 6600 is really good at mining, because it doesn't draw a lot of power and it can still perform almost at its base spec. So adding 18% on top of that will make them more competitive with Nvidia. So maybe they'll get into the mobile market a little bit better. And obviously they have to be aware that Intel has a huge relationship with a lot of laptop manufacturers, and once they have discrete graphics cards for laptops, a lot of people are going to be looking at Intel, because guess what? There's probably going to be bundle deals. So AMD definitely needs the best advantage that they can get in that space. So makes a lot of sense to me. I don't think we'll see these on desktop unless there's enough supply. If they're oversupplied on the laptop side, maybe they'll throw in a refresh on the desktop, but I just don't see it happening, to be honest with you. Now, this is just a quick little story that came up today. I just found kind of interesting. The headline says it all. MSI allegedly lowers RTX 30 pricing by up to $94. So basically, they're just lowering prices on certain RTX 30 series, while Sapphire increases Radeon RX 6000 prices up to $79. Now, once again, it's nothing crazy here. A lot of people don't really recognize that Nvidia is basically refreshing their whole lineup next month. So MSI dropping the prices of their 30 series is probably just to clear out whatever inventory they have right now. They're obviously not dropping them a lot, because if you drop $94 off of a $2,000, RTX 3090, that's not really a big deal. So yeah, this is just to incite people that might be like, maybe I'll jump, maybe I won't, just so they can put a discount number on something, and then they can just sell through the rest of their inventory quickly, because they don't want to get stuck with like 8 gigabyte 3070 Ti's, because nobody's going to want those once the 16 gigabyte variant's out. Nobody's really going to want 3090s when there's a 3090 Ti. People that buy Halo products want the best. They don't want the second best, they want the best. There's a reason why they're willing to pay stupid amounts of money for it. So at that point in time, 3090s are just gonna lose their desirability, as you would say, unless they're good enough for mining in terms of ROI. So miners might want them, so knocking down the price a little bit helps with ROI, so those guys will probably pick them up. But yeah, so not too big of a surprise there. Sapphire raising prices. Well, AMD is not refreshing their desktop lineup. And let's be honest, things are still trending upwards. So prices going up, unfortunately, makes sense for them to be doing that. because they're still moving units. However, I will say that I've been tracking GPU like supply out there. I've got trackers on basically all the modern GPUs. Nvidia's almost sold out constantly, top to bottom, everything that they have. AMD GPUs seem to be in stock on a regular basis. You can get, like if you want a 6600, they're available. 6600 XT, they're available. It's the 6800 and 6800 XTs, those are the ones that are sold out, and 6900 XTs are in stock. 6700 XTs are in stock pretty much at any given time. So I don't know if raising prices on AMD cards makes sense since, like I said, they're mostly in stock at this point in time. Yes, it's not every store has them. It's just like, out of all the listings, maybe there's one or two options, but there's always one or two options, is what I'm saying. Except for the 6900 XT. That thing, you can get that almost anywhere in any make, any model you want. And the prices on those are starting to come down as well. They're down below 1500, which, yeah, that's not great, but that's less than 50% over its MSRP, which in today's market's actually not bad. So yeah, I don't know why Sapphire's raising prices, maybe just to see what they can get away with. But MSI lowering prices, it makes sense. They want their inventory gone before the new refresh and the new lineup comes out. All right, so this last one dropped last night. I watched this video, it was pretty late last night when this came out, but Epic Games paired up with Warner Brothers with the new Matrix Awakening, I think it's called, and they showcased basically what next generation graphics we should be expecting from video games. And Unreal Engine usually leads the way. I would actually argue that Unreal Engine 4 wasn't very impressive next to Unreal Engine 3, which was a ginormous leap in terms of graphical fidelity in gaming. 4 wasn't that big of a deal, but 5, as you can see here, seems to be a massive increase in visual fidelity. And this is supposedly running on an Xbox Series X. So this demonstration is super impressive because they basically picked the baseline hardware, which, in my eyes would be PS5 or Xbox Series X at this point. And if games can run looking even remotely like this here in the not too distant future, that really does sound good to me. And obviously on PC, with what we're expecting in terms of graphics horsepower going exponentially higher, those games will actually run significantly better on PC. So it's going to be a really interesting time. If you guys haven't seen this video, my buddy Salso over at Cortex did a great video 2 weeks ago talking about next generation graphics, and he talked a lot about the Unreal Engine 5 and all of the advances that it'll be bringing in this video right here. I recommend you check it out. I'll put a link in the description below, but basically we're starting to see evidence that he was talking about already being demonstrated here today. I will also put a link to the Matrix video down in the description so you can check it out for yourself as well. So next up is the deal of the day. So over here we have the Intel Core i3 10100F coming in at $91, so well under $100. I've done a lot of videos on the 10100 non-F, the one with the iGPU here recently, and as you guys know, it's capable of playing all modern games just fine. So if you're looking for a secondary build, or maybe you're looking to build a cheaper computer for a friend or a family member this holiday season for under $100, well under $100, you can get yourself a fairly capable CPU with a decent upgrade path all the way up to 10 core. So personally, I like this CPU. I love this price point. So I would strongly recommend picking one of these up if you're in need of something on the cheap. Then tying into that is the good old game of the day. I'm going straight for the jugular on this one. I'm going with Fear. If you haven't played the original First Encounter Assault Recon, such a stupid name, but the game is really good, from 2005. This is one of the quintessential, probably one of the best first-person shooters, PC first-person shooters of all time. This is definitely a game designed, built for the PC platform. If you haven't played it in a long time, you should go back and do so. I strongly recommend it, especially this time of year. It gets a little dark, gets a little gloomy outside, and this game just comes up in my mind as something that needs to be played. And if you're a younger gamer and you've never heard of this, you must play this game. This is one of those games, if you're not a real PC gamer, if you haven't played this game. So I strongly recommend picking it up. It's only $10. I recommended this a bajillion times on the channel, but it's just hit me today. I'm like, today feels like a good day to play Fear, so I figured I'd recommend it to you guys. Well, alrighty guys, that'll pretty much do it for today's video, but man, a lot happened here. It's going to be really interesting to see what Nvidia does, if they're just going to completely screw over the market that they own, which is the PC gaming discrete graphics market. I really think that people are at wit's end with Nvidia on this one. Yes, they're market leader, but starting next year, Intel's going to be in there, and AMD is likely going to take performance crown. So this is not the time for Nvidia to be ticking off their customer base for temporary, gains in profit. I really think this might go down in history as one of the worst moves Nvidia has ever made, but we'll see what they do next month. It really depends on, maybe they'll correct it next month. Maybe the 2060 was always meant to be a mining card, but the rest of the cards, not so much. We'll see, but if they continue down this path too much longer, I really don't think they will be market leader within the next 5 years, because this is really hurting them and their brand. So we'll see what happens. AMD's just kind of trucking along doing their thing. I personally think that it's going to be Intel that will really shake up this market. It's a goal that's left wide open. It's like if they were playing soccer, the Nvidia team went out to lunch and it's just an empty field. And, it's Intel's job to just kick the ball into the net. And if they miss, it's only their fault at this point, in my opinion. And then Unreal Engine coming out with a real demo showing the Unreal Engine 5 in a very interesting way. I personally think WB Games is probably going to want this to be a game. If you watch the whole video, you could tell it looks almost like a Watch Dogs type of thing. I would assume to go with the movie, they're going to want some sort of game tie-in, and I wouldn't be too surprised if we see something similar to this coming out. If this is indeed running on an Xbox Series S, or a Series X, I mean, that's very impressive. I honestly did not think the current gen consoles could handle this graphical fidelity. I thought we would see maybe at the end of this generation, you get the 1080p 30 games again, and then the cross-gen, the next-gen consoles would run it and run it much better. But if we're already seeing this level of work and polish and basically doneness, I would assume that games like this aren't as far away as I was originally anticipating. So I'm very excited about that. I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section below about all this stuff. Let me know where you're at. And that's really all I have for you guys here today. And I will catch you guys in the next video.